Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA. Let's welcome our special guest, undeniably the greatest featherweight of all time, Alexander the Great Volkanovski! We first met about 10 years ago. I was emceeing an event, and now here I am emceeing you, but since then, you have established yourself as undeniably the greatest featherweight in the history of the sport. Yeah, a round of applause for that. What an astounding feat. So, obviously we are at one of the best MMA camps on the planet. What advice do you have for people who want to get into the sport and carve out a career like you have?
Well, yeah, like you said, we're here, it would have been over 10 years ago. I don't know how long I've been training in Thailand, but it was the first taste of full-time fighting for me, which was an absolute game changer for me. To be able to come to Thailand and have a facility like this, obviously right next to the beach as well, which is incredible. You talk about training in paradise, like this is it. But just to have the facilities and have everything you need in the one spot and to be able to train full-time was an absolute game changer for me. You've seen the levels really did go up. Obviously, we got the Muay Thai classes, the striking, you had great grappling, and it's just incredible. So I'm sure most of you that have been training here can see what it's like. It's just an unbelievable place to train.
So when you're carving out your career, your training, you're definitely going to have a lot of obstacles and things to overcome. Sometimes you question yourself. You've achieved so much. What advice do you have for people who are looking at maybe carving out a career, they're looking at getting ready for their first fight, maybe they're a little bit nervous, the big lights, the big stage. How do you prepare yourself for things like that?
Yeah, well, it depends what it is. Obviously, when there's big fights coming on, there's always going to be questions, yeah? You're going to have the voices in your head, the doubts and all that, but that's just a part of it. They're going to be there. It's just trying to always win them battles. We call them playing them games in your head. Even when you're in the gym, there's times where you're like, oh, you're tired. Should you go hard on that next rep? And just win them battles. If you're winning them battles every time in the gym, in preparation, constantly pushing yourself and always going to that next level, you know what I mean? Accepting that, this is, one thing that I will say is, everyone always talks about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. You hear that term an awful lot. It's very hard to really actually put yourself in uncomfortable positions, but in the gym you can definitely do that. So I've sort of changed that. I don't know about the way I train anyway, and I'm sure a lot of you is here. You're never going to be comfortable with some of the sessions you're going to do, especially the fight simulators. But there's one thing you can do is accept the uncomfortable, and that's something that I've been able to do. I accept every time it gets uncomfortable. And then, problem solve, find a way around it, knowing that I'm going to get through it and just one step over the other. So, that's just something I've always done, and it just gets easier and easier. So every time there's a bit of adversity, I don't shy away from it. I'm like, bring it on, and, I accept it. I accept the adversity, and I move full steam ahead.
Speaking of being uncomfortable, both physically but also mentally, recently, I think the media definitely jumped on this a bit more than maybe was necessary, but you were quite open about mental struggles and the life of a fighter. Is there any advice you can give to people about those struggles when you're in a bit of a dark place and how to overcome that? Yeah,
well, obviously, like you said, I think it did maybe get blown out of proportion a little bit, but I'm glad that it got out there because, it is something that needs to be talked about. Everyone's going to get uncomfortable, right? There's going to be times where you're going to feel vulnerable and be uncomfortable, no matter who you are. But it's just knowing, like I said, knowing that you're going to get through it. And I'm pretty self-aware. So even though I was going through that, I end up taking that fight. I'm thinking, this will kick it into gear because I knew I didn't really like where I was at the time, and so I was looking for ways to fix that, which is obviously a good thing that I was aware and able to do something, try and do something about it. Then obviously having that short notice fight didn't go to plan. Obviously got knocked out, being concussed, and getting chucked straight into the media. Obviously people got to see me at my most vulnerable, which again I'm fine with because people get to see people like that. But it's how do you carry yourself after that as well? So everyone got to see me there. Obviously, a great message for people is like, look, everybody gets vulnerable. It doesn't mean you give into it. Just know, again, one step over the other. You're going to get through this. And just, don't ever give up on yourself and just keep moving forward. But like I said, just no matter who you are, you'll be surprised by the people that even reached out. Some of the most successful people in the world, even they get uncomfortable, right? But it's just not accepting it and then letting it make things worse. Sort of again, accept. All right, this is where we're at, and let's get through this. We might be a little uncomfortable today, but tomorrow we're going to be better, and the next day we're going to be better. And just try and people talk about manifesting and things like that. Obviously, try your best to have a positive mindset. Training is going to help a lot with that. Being able to get into the gym. Obviously let off some steam, stay healthy, right? You want that healthy mindset, and the gym's the best place for that. And whenever I feel like I'm not doing as much in the gym, that's when, you start seeing they go, I better be back in there, especially when you know the times, I'm not getting any younger. So there were the questions that were there, but obviously I'm all good and, I want everyone to know that, but I do want everyone to know that everyone gets uncomfortable, but we all know how to, soldier on through.
I also want everyone to know that Islam was really lucky you took that last minute. Otherwise, he'd be in a contender spot because you would have smoked him. Moving on to the next point is, you're talking a lot about leaning on people. You've got your friends around you that can kind of help you get through that. You've obviously built up a lot of friends and relationships here in Thailand. You've been training here for 10 years. Tell us a little bit about how you see the development of MMA in Thailand and Phuket specifically from when you first came here until now with facilities like this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, Muay Thai, is the best Muay Thai, obviously. Here in Thailand, it's always been massive. You wouldn't think, even earlier, years ago, you wouldn't think that there was such high-level MMA here. But some of the best fighters around the world have always been coming here, and like you're seeing, the names that are coming through Bangtao as well. Some of the best fighters in the world, and just the coaches is just it's unbelievable. Like the high-level coaches they have here, and again, a lot of them are part of my team. So I always try and have the best around me, and a lot of them are here as well. So it's good. Like I said, you get to go to paradise, train hard, and then maybe enjoy a beach in between sessions here and there as well. So beautiful place to enjoy a full-time fight camp, pretty much, you know what I mean? Because again, it's pretty full on. For most of you that are training here, you aren't just doing a session here and there. Maybe a lot of you are getting stuck in, some of the hard sessions, hard live rounds, sparring, having a real feel of what it's like to be an elite athlete at the highest level. And this is what it is. So to get that feel and experience, see if you want it or if you don't, you know what I mean? If you can handle it, keep going. You're going to be all right, mate. You're going to go a long way. So keep soldiering on and smash that training.
Awesome. Speaking of smashing that training, at 12 o'clock, Alexander will be doing an open workout, and we'll see how we push the pace on that one there. But for the time being, I'm going to open up to the crowd. So just raise your hand. If anyone has a question, we're going to run a microphone over to you. Raise your hand if you have a question for Alex.
My name's Luca, and I'm aspiring to be like the best coach I can possibly be. I've got fight experience, but I've always stepped in the ring to try and gain experience of what it's like to be in there. And I just want to hear from you, like, what's your advice or what makes the best coach, like world-class coaches that you've worked with?
I mean, no matter what it is, with anything you want to be successful in, it's a commitment, right? So there's got to be hours put in, not just going through the motions, obviously watching what's happening around you with the students or yourself, whether it's fight studies, whatever, getting a real understanding of everything. Obviously the fundamentals, techniques, and just, the mechanics of it all, the concepts, obviously body shapes or whatever it is, everyone's a little bit different. So getting a real understanding of it all. Because, sometimes even in the gym, one thing that I will say, this is going to be for the athletes as well. When you're going there, obviously you want to learn. You've got some of the best coaches here. So when they're, trying to tell you these key, like concepts and things, really understand it. Like try not to just go through the motions. Understand what they're trying to tell you, because there's absolute gold in every little detail they're telling you. There's techniques that and concepts that you might see in whatever you're doing, coaching or training, and there's a million different things you can apply those little concepts they're saying. So I learned one technique and I know another 1,000 because of mechanically how that works. So just getting a real understanding of what it's all about, a deeper understanding. If you can really dissect everything, and again, it's a commitment because there's going to be time and effort, but you want to be elite, you want to be the best. That's what the best are going to do.
I have a little follow-up on that. You have a coach, obviously some of the best coaches here. If you as an athlete, you don't necessarily agree with something that they're teaching you or something that they're advising you on, what do you do? Do you argue back? Do you do whatever they say no matter what? Or do you sit down and try and compromise? And is that different from a beginner fighter compared to a world champion level fighter?
Obviously, if there was a beginner like trying to tell the coach how to do the job, obviously there's a problem. I'll start off with that. But I mean, when you've got elite coaches, obviously you're going to take in what they're saying. There's going to be, and again, understand the mechanics of what they're saying. This could be whether it's a different body type. Obviously, I've got a smaller body type. Sometimes I get taught by, taller guys with techniques that might be a little bit different. But like I said, there's absolute gold in what they're saying. So even though it might not be something that works for me specifically, but I always try and get a deeper understanding of what they're trying to explain, and then I can put it into how I can take it in. And obviously through experience and, time, and that's it. But I mean, if it wasn't for coaches like that I've been working with, I wouldn't have that understanding that I have. So I'm very thankful to have great coaches around me to give me that understanding, where now when someone shows me something, I can really dissect that and really take a lot out of that. And that's what I guess I'm trying to say for everyone. Again, put that little, it's a commitment, but trying to put that little extra effort in understanding of what they're trying to tell you, rather than just going through the motions. So next time they show you, it's going to be very easy for you to remember or to understand it, because you understand why it works.
When the greatest featherweight of all time says that these coaches are amazing, I think that lets us all know how lucky we are to be here and have access to these coaches. Next question.
A lot of fighters, a lot of athletes, when they get to that top level, it can be a bit of a bittersweet because they've spent their whole life trying to achieve that particular goal. And I know for a lot of fighters afterwards, as I say, it can be a bit bittersweet. I'm curious to know, how was your process when you did win the belt? Did it make you hungrier? Was there some weird feelings there? How was that process?
Yeah, so that's a thing, right? Like everyone always wants to chase, they want to get to the top of that mountain. And, it's sort of easier to be motivated to get on the top of the mountain, but, a lot of people try and stay motivated to be on the top of that mountain. With me, I've always tried to, I love this sport, I'm very passionate about it, very committed. So I've always had that drive to be better, as I've said many times, that drive to be better. So as soon as my fights were done, especially when I was obviously very active or even now I'm still right now I'm having a little bit of the break, probably the biggest break I've ever had. But before that, there was no breaks. I would literally get straight back in the gym straight after a fight, and that was where I evolved. That's where I got better. I didn't have time to do that during camp because camp was specific to the opponent in front of me. And I had to get fit and ready for that. But outside of camp was where I try to evolve and get better and get a better understanding of these things. So I've always said, a lot of people want to, rise to the top and, they want to stay on top. I was always there. I want to, when I say raise that bar, right? I always wanted to, these people climbing the mountain to reach me, I wanted them to climb higher and higher. I wanted that mountain to grow. So, it wasn't good enough to just stay on top of them, just being better than my opponents. I wanted to be better. So I wanted to raise the bar. So that mountain kept getting higher and higher for them opponents. That's just how I looked at it. And, again, it's a commitment. It ain't easy. And as you said, it does get tough. And adversity looks, it comes in so many different ways. And that is, sometimes it might feel like it's getting repetitive and things like that, but that's a bit of adversity. You've got to find ways around, be a bit of a problem solver. Don't just be like, I'm done with it. Find ways to make it work or get through it, because it's adversity. You've got to stay strong and keep soldiering through. But yeah, like I said, raise that bar every single time. You know what I mean? Obviously, rest is good. You've got to know when to rest, but at the same time, there's always something you can do to be better. Whether you're working on that mental to be stronger, whether it's, if you're injured and Still, you can work on strengths elsewhere, whether it's, strength and conditioning. There's always something you can do to be better. And every time I had injuries, I didn't use that as an excuse to just sit around, which it was a good enough excuse, but I mean, there's still so much I could do. So that's why you've seen me, and I'd break my hand, and then I'd still fight in 4 months. And people are like, how did that happen? It's like, I just made sure I stayed fit. I was doing whatever I could, just making sure I wasn't punching with that hand, and I was able to keep reasonably fit. The footwork never went because I made sure I was still doing all that. Even when I broke my hand, I was still hitting pads. I just wouldn't use that hand. So the footwork was still there. Everything that I needed was still there. So it was, like I said, that's just, again, I'm committed, and that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Sometimes people, it's easy to be like, I'm going to have a break, and, no one's going to hate you for that. But sometimes you've got to win them little battles in your head as well.
Awesome, mate. Appreciate that.
No worries. Thank you.
So just to kind of build off of that, when you're fighting, you're on your way up, you're either going for the belt, you get the belt. There are definitely things that fighters are often scared of, right? Darren Till was very famous for calling out everyone on the roster, but then afterwards said that he was actually scared to fight. Mike Tyson was scared on the way in, but then when he got there, he wasn't scared. What is your biggest fear in fighting? Is it losing? Is it getting hurt? Is it fighting and not giving the... What's the thing that you fear the most when you step in there?
Just losing, you know what I mean? It's weird, it is fighting, but I'm never scared of the opponent hurting me or anything like that. That's never the case. It's just, if they land a punch, I'm not worried about that hurting. I'm worried about that, putting you to sleep. Like obviously, like my last fights, that's something that you're going to be worried about. Not, if I cop one, I don't care if it hurts. If I'm still awake, all right, we're laughing, let's go. That's just how it is. So it's always that fear of, I've always looked at it as, I believe skill for skill, I always had it, but I knew everyone has a puncher's chance. So there was always that fear of letting them, get that shot. So that's why a lot of the times I want to fight my fight and have a safe net while I do that and take away, as much as I can while still fighting my fight and still putting the pressure on and doing my thing. So, it's a tricky one. I think, I can touch on the last one. That's where I felt like I wasn't able to really fight my fight, which is something that I was more unhappy with. Obviously losing sucks, but just going out there and knowing that I didn't really fight my fight. Whether people that's why I'm having a good break now. Whether I should have done that before, that's again, it's not excuses. We did a great job. My team did a great job, but I just wasn't able to fight my fight. So I'm not going to make that same mistake twice. I'm going to have a good rest. And then get back into there and get that fucking belt back. Excuse my French, sorry for swearing.
You got to get it back. Okay, next question.
If you were abducted by aliens, just stay with me.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
He can't stay with you. He's been
I'd
abducted.
fight my way out of it.
He's gone.
No.
He's been abducted.
And they're like, yes, we got Volk. Not saying that you can't take them, but if they're like, hey, Volk, you can make one call to Dana, and you can form a super squad to come save you. Who would the 5 fighters that you would select and why?
Oh, wow, okay.
Can we just have a round of applause for the weirdest question we've ever had? That was...
Like I said, with the questions, you just go with the motions. I always usually say, I just wing it. But this is a bit of a curveball. I like it. I've got a lot of friends that I'm going to have to pick, otherwise they're going to hate me, right? Nah, look, one, you're gonna have to look at some of the greats. Obviously, you're going to have a John Jones. He's got a bit of that fight IQ, so I'm going to have to say John Jones. I will say Israel Adesanya, obviously a good mate of mine. How many am I allowed?
5.
Five, okay. Big Tai Tuivasa can throw some hands. I know, so he's a good street fighter. So, because if we're going to have to, it's going to be we're going full on. So you want someone that's going to be swinging them nice and hard. So what's that? That's 3. Who's some other big guys? Some big guys. Let's get some big technical guys. Huh? Oh, Derek Lewis. Yeah, he can swing him. Yeah, he can swing him. Let's go Derek Lewis as well. Someone else. Give me one. Pereira's another one. Okay, yeah, there you go. So what have I got? So I've got Olberg's one. Yeah, Olberg as well, yeah. So I'll say Alberg, actually, he's my boy. He might be unhappy. But yeah, Pereira was a good one. So who we got? Izzy,
We got too many.
John
now.
Jones.
You got to cut some out, man.
Fuck, I'm going to get in trouble. Israel Adesanya, John Jones, Derek Lewis, Taito Ivasa. Pereira was a good one, but now, Frank's put me on the spot. I'm going to have to say Carlos Ulberg. Now, Carlos Ulberg's on a tear as well. I think, did that fight get announced? Yes, the number one contender fight, so and I think he's going to do well. So let's go Carlos Ulberg. Hopefully that's good enough list for you.
I think about Mike
So I sit on the
Perry.
fence with
I
everything.
think
You know,
about
I've
Mike
got to
Perry
keep
the
everyone
crazy.
happy.
I think about Mike Perry, just the craziness of that guy there. Bare
Yeah,
knuckle.
actually, he's absolutely
But
killing
no,
it at the moment.
I wouldn't. I think your list is way better. Right. Any other questions? And we can be out there with those questions there.
You know why I got one more thing. You know why I got all the big guys? Because then I could sneak between them very well, and then game plan. Find my way around, sneak surprise, and just start taking them out. See, systematically broke them down already.
As a smaller person myself, I'm really impressed by your success in the cage. Has your height given you challenges in life or in fighting, and how do you overcome these challenges?
My height?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as I said, if you plan properly, you can use it well. So look, that's something that, again, why I try and understand as much as I can. When someone's showing me something, I really want to understand. Like when people tell me about, using their range, I'm very short. You hear people talk about these freakishly long arms. That's a lie. I just go along with it. I actually don't even have that long arms. I think I used to, but they don't even straighten anymore. But it's just, again, I understand the range, but I know I have to do things differently to apply that range. So there's a lot more footwork involved. There's a lot more speed and timing. So me understanding, again, the concepts and why people that use their range very well, I understand why they do it and I make it work for me. So it's definitely going to be challenges, but I find a way and then I use it to my advantage. So now a lot of people, because I'm so good at my range for someone that's so short, it's very awkward and, it's hard for people to figure out, like, how is this guy touching me when I've got this longer reach, I'm taller than him? How is he finding his way in and timing it between me? They think it's my long arms, but, there's a lot of footwork. It's splitting the timing, you know what I mean? Getting them in between their steps. Just a lot of these little things that I picked up over time, knowing I had to use it. And, using people's range against them and just trying to really understand that and make it work for me. But that's the same with tall people. Yeah, I find that there's advantages for me, but obviously there's a lot of advantages for the tall people as well. It's just how you use them and if you do it properly. And I've just felt like I've, found a pretty good system that works for me.
Speaking of size, when you came into this sport, you were a bit larger than you are now, right?
I'm pretty heavy at the moment too, but yeah.
But I mean, you were quite big back
90,
then. weren't you?
97 kilograms, so 214 pounds.
So, kind of like a two-part question, right? The first one is how difficult was it coming down in weight? And also, I think a lot of people, when they're getting into fighting, they're kind of trying to pick what weight they should fight at. Sometimes it's like, am I being lazy in not dropping more weight? Or is that extra weight I'm dropping actually depleting me and I'm not performing? So what was it that made you settle on 145 and not 214?
Yeah, well, obviously, you're right. There's going to be a time when cutting too much weight is going to affect you. So you need to have the right people around you and then, find the right weight for you. Even though, I started at middleweight. My first fights was at middleweight, and then worked my way down. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious that even at featherweight, I'm the shortest featherweight, probably one of the... When it comes to weight, I think I'm one of the heavier ones, maybe. But obviously, height, I'm like the shortest guy in the division. So I look pretty small to even featherweights. So, obviously, I needed to lose a bit of weight. And is it hard? Yeah, I guess dieting is hard. But I mean, when my mindset is it needs to be done, just do it. You can't eat this. You need to lose the weight. I don't know anything better than, all right, well, that's what needs to be done. I'm going to do it. I've trained myself to just have to live by that. You know what I mean? So, again, adversity comes in many ways. And sometimes not eating the best. Some foods, I love my food. I've got a cooking channel. So everyone knows I love my food. But, if you need to lose the weight, you're going to lose the weight. It needs to be done. But, again, easier said than done. You know what is harder that I found out cutting weight is easy compared to trying to put on muscle. So I had to try and put on weight for the first Islam fight, and the amount of food that I had to eat, I never thought in a million years I would whinge about eating too much. I was couldn't like, mate, it was so hard to put it in. I was eating anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 calories, but reasonably like clean food. So just carbs and proteins, not much sauces. And mate, it was a nightmare. Like I was like just properly forcing it down. So now it made the weight cutting easier. So I couldn't wait when I had to do that for the first Islam fight. I remember thinking I cannot wait till I have to cut weight because I still had to cut weight fight week. I couldn't wait for it. I was like, I can't wait for fight week till I don't have to eat. That's what I got to. I had like a food disorder, but the other way. It was weird.
Awesome. Any other questions? Where's our microphone? Oh, there you go. Ready to rock and roll. Oh, wow.
In the first Islam fight, I noticed a tactic you were using against Islam where you were like shifting into southpaw and getting an angle on him and getting off some strikes. I really like the low kick used from there. Was that a strategy to use that tactic against Islam, or was that something that you normally do against southpaw opponents?
Yeah, I do like to use that on our southpaws. I actually, because I don't mind switching between both stances, so I can do the exact same thing both ways. But I feel like, a lot of people, southpaws, they're going to train with southpaws as well, but a lot of times, they're more used to fighting orthodox fighters. So I definitely wanted to float between the two. Obviously you got fakes and looks. I wanted to show him different looks. I didn't want to just pressure and come forward. I wanted him to, figure out that I'm coming from different angles. Just put a big puzzle in front of him and find the opportunities that were there. So a lot of it is strategic. Again, fighting my fights, so making them just trying to figure out where the fuck is this guy going, you know what I mean? So while they're doing that and me just picking off my shots and doing things like that. Obviously, Islam's a great fighter. He still did a great job with that, but there were still problems that he had to deal with while I was switching that up. But I mean, if any of you are doing the seminar tomorrow, we're going to throw a bit of that in there as well. So there you go. So so I'm going to be working a lot of angles tomorrow. I won't let too much away. But there will be some shifting here and there. So I'll give you an understanding of that as well.
Cool, thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Make sure you're here for the seminar tomorrow. Next question.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, mate.
I love you.
Thank you.
You're my best, for real.
I love you too, mate.
I have just one question. What do you think about the upcoming fight between Islam and Dustin? Who will win and why?
Look, I like both solid dudes, both really good guys. But Islam is a great fighter. So that's he's going to be a hard man to beat. Obviously, I've got a lot of respect for the lightweight divisions, the absolute killers in there. But I always knew that myself and even Max could compete with these guys. But I always knew Islam was going to be a tough fight. That's why when everyone was counting Max out in the Justin Gaethje, I was quite surprised with how many people were counting him out. But I wasn't surprised with how that fight went. But Islam, I believe, is I didn't expect a knockout. I could say that. But with Islam, I do think that he is a very great fighter, very well rounded. He fights clever. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. Obviously, his striking's getting better, but he's going to be a hard man to beat. Like I said, Dustin Poirier is a dangerous dude, great fighter himself. But I think just Islam's, he's going to be a hard man to beat.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, mate.
Love and respect from Turkey. I want to ask you something. In life, whenever I try to achieve something and when there's an obstacle, I get demoralized so fast. Like, I get frustrated so fast. How can I become more it, How can I beat this?
Yeah, so, again, that's again, it's a common thing, right? Like, adversities, trying to, people talk about being resilient and all that. It's very hard sometimes. You can't always be resilient. There's going to be obstacles that are going to throw you off. Something that works for me, I've been lucky enough where I've always found myself as a problem solver. And that's what's helped me, again, when we talk about positions and I was asked about my height and range and when I'm learning things and I'm a problem solver. I'm a figure, this ain't really working for me. How can I make this work? I'm a figure out, I'm pretty good at the problem solving, puzzle solving. And again, so when there's hurdles, there are ways around it. So rather than me, obviously being like, man, I don't think there's anything I can do, I'm always going to try and find an answer. I'm going to look, I'm going to find my way to at least look around it. Doesn't mean you're going to answer it every single time, but the more times I at least try, the better I'm going to be in them situations. The better I'm going to accept when there's a bit of adversity. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to be able to at least try and problem solve. You know what I mean? But if I was to shy away every single time, I guarantee you're going to shy away every single time, right? So, and again, easier said than done. But I mean, it's adversity for a reason, and it's not easy to be resilient. So it does take time. It does take work. That's why I absolutely love martial arts. I think it is a great thing for people, like for kids as well, to, again, when it comes to problem solving, it can obviously be quite confronting when you've got people trying to punch you in the face or grapple with you. You're going to be put in uncomfortable positions. You're going to have to try and find your way around it. Obviously, he's holding me down. I can just cry about it and not do nothing. Or I can try and get the fuck out of there. It's scanned, isn't it? Is that it, kids? I keep swearing. Sorry, I'm Aussie, you know what I mean? That's just how we swear a lot. But you know what I mean? I'm going to try and find a way. That's why I think martial arts is so good for life skills as well. Developing, a healthy mindset. Healthy, obviously, healthy physically and mentally. I think it is absolutely great, and that's a good place to start. And again, just try and win them little battles. Every time there's adversity, rather than just shying away and letting it beat you, try and find a way. Doesn't mean you're going to answer the question every single time, but I guarantee you're going to get better at answering them questions if you at least try and find a way around it.
Thank you so much. And I just bought some new gloves. Can you sign them for me later?
So speaking of which,
Okay, there you go.
Thank you so much.
yes, he can, but not now. So what we're going to do is we're going to now move on into the photo session. We've got our team over here to get a photo with the greatest featherweight of all time.